Hey, hi, friends. Hope all are doing well. Friends, today in our podcast on the Speak Out for Petroleum Engineers, we're going to have one of my friend. His name is Mr. Antoine, and he's a special person. And why? Because he's a well-known among SP Europe community, and especially between the past outs of 2017 and 2018. And the interesting thing is, in his last 8 to 10 years of his journey from internship to all the way where he is right now, he's involved in all the segments. Say it be an office role internship, and say it be a field engineer role, and especially a Schlumberger field engineer role. And then he went into the digital role with RTDS and other digital projects and all. And at the last, right now, he is in his management role. So he took up all his fundamentals, all his technical fundamentals, and then he moved into the management. So let's explore from him what exactly that he's gone through in his career, and let's take those learnings and we can put all those learnings in our current academia, and also those who are hustling in their early career. Maybe you're in the first year of your job, or maybe you've just completed your 3 years. So let's take the insights and start implementing it, guys, and let's get into the pod. Yeah, hi Antoine, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks a lot for the invitation. It's good to have a discussion with you.
First of all, thanks a lot, Antoine, and making up some time and catching up over the podcast. And to just give you a quick paraphrase, so we are running up a series of podcasts called the Speak Out on Petroleum Engineering. So the
Okay.
primary viewers of the podcast is basically the engineering students, either who are doing petroleum engineering or they are doing other evergreen engineering courses, or even other candidates who want to get into the oil and gas industry. So those are the primary viewers, who get into the podcast. So now you're one of the petroleum engineer who's been involved with the upstream segment, and we've been from Europe, and you've catered all the way to Africa, to Middle East, and even in your profile you've worked even in Japan as well. So if you have to tell in one liner out of your whole experience in the oil and gas industry in the last 9 years, so what would you tell to the fellow petroleum engineer who is about to graduate or who is struggling in their early career? So, what would you paraphrase your overall experience in the oil and gas industry, Antoine?
Yes, I will say most important is to take risk. Like
Mm.
the world is changing so much. Like things are different from like even like 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So don't follow what like people or older people with a different type of experience
Yeah.
will tell you. Just try to take risks. Try to do whatever you like, what you want to do.
Mhm.
That's the thing that I applied to myself.
Mm.
I went out of my comfort zone. I did something that all of my friends and colleagues didn't do, and
Okay.
that's why I'm here now.
So you started with drilling. So you made drilling as your core, and
Yes.
you went on with the digital aspect of that. And right now you're coming more towards the management aspect as well. So how exactly you think this digitalization aspect is playing a role in petroleum engineering, and especially in upstream aspect? And I'm sure you've already been with Schlumberger in different countries, starting from France and up till to Saudi Arabia and even in other parts of the world. So how exactly the digitalization is moving on drilling engineering? And is it creating more opportunity, or is it creating more risk for petroleum engineers, or losing their roles on site? What do you
Yeah.
think about?
So that's a good question. I think your summary about what I did is quite clear
Mhm.
and compact, and I love the way you phrase it. Going first to create something strong, like a strong technical things, and after that, how to digitalize it. Digital is coming anyway. It's coming, so we don't have the choice. So that you need to
Yeah.
take the reality like that, not like I want or I would like or blah blah blah. No, it's coming, and it will create many jobs, many opportunities, but it will
Mhm.
destroy as well the jobs of the people that doesn't want to move, that doesn't
Mhm.
want to get out of the comfort zone once again, that
Right.
doesn't want to do a little bit more or a little bit different. So the idea, of course, of digital is to simplify, automatize the jobs, and it makes so much sense in the difficult or the dangerous environment such as Rex. In my opinion, having less people on site is something really good for HSE, for
Mm.
work-life balance, for the people. But these people will be able to work in the remote center in some different type of environment. So digital is bringing positive things to this industry, and it allows people now to go from difficult environment to better environment. So they can focus on having more added value to their job. So that's my opinion about digital.
Field, they're going to be more on the digital ecosystem and controlling the drilling operations. So that's how we're looking up. So if anybody is not aligning towards the digital transformation that is already embraced by the industry, so then they will lack the opportunity. Is it in that
Yeah.
direction?
Yeah, if you are not aligned or if you are not interested in digital, I think that will be a challenge. We'll still have some, like really practical things, because we'll still need this type of profiles, but it will be more and more difficult, and it will, I will say, I think it will close doors and close opportunities for that.
Yeah. So then in that scenario, Antoine, so what would be the better actionables that a petroleum engineering student or a mechanical engineering student or someone who is in the early career in their 1 to 3 years of experience, if they wanted to lead a drilling department in oil and gas exploration, so what steps they should be taking in a proactive measures in order to embrace the digitalization and also hold the leadership role after 10, 15 years of their career in the industry? What has to be a proactive measures that someone should take?
Yeah, that's a really interesting case. I would say first, need to be super good technically, because you are able to digitalize something if you know about your topic, right? Because
Yeah,
what we have now, we have some people really good at their field, but they don't know nothing about digital. We have some nerds, doing digital, softwares like in Google,
exactly.
Microsoft, whatever. But
Exactly.
what we are missing is the people doing both. So
Yeah.
after, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years of experience,
Mm,
we need to build this strong
mm,
technical base. So if it
okay.
needs like, 3 years, 5 years, take the
Mm,
time you need. And after that, in parallel, I will say, continue being, because you are
yeah.
young, because you are really grounded, with this
Yeah.
new technology, continue,
Yeah.
learning about digital, about AI, about agents. And after these 3, 5 years, you will be able to connect. And then
Yeah.
you can start, as a project manager in like a small things, you offer to your manager, oh, I'm doing that on the field, but it's not really efficient. Maybe we can do that. And then by being proactive, then they will see that you are the one having the good mindset, and then you will be selected for management role. And then at the end, you will be able to climb the ladder.
Got it. Got it. So, in the sense, the most important again, fundamentals. Having a strong fundamental, strong technical core is super important, and having a mindset to learn the digital tools. Right now, AI is across the world, across the industries. It is transforming a lot of things. So, embracing the AI tools and learning more about that with the strong fundamentals can help anybody to move forward in their
Oh yeah.
career.
Honestly, with these two things, you can
Mm.
do like amazing things. Honestly, there is not so many people
Yeah.
having that. It's like, you can think, okay, there is a lot of people like me, but the one being smart, being adaptable, being able, to communicate between the whole world, like the industry, like the 50 years old Didi, project manager and everything, and
Yeah.
like connected with the future. There is not so many, so there is opportunities there.
Cool, cool. And in general, Antoine, since you're a field engineer, you are a field engineer with SLB in Saudi Arabia, Australia, and Japan in between
Yeah.
2022 to 2024. So, how exactly the field is? I have been to field. I've been there for a week or so, but you guys have been for I think months. You would do rotations probably 30 days
Yes.
on and 30 days off. So, how exactly the experience on being on field? What does it feel to be, what are the challenges you guys get and what are the responsibilities, what are the key basic accountability factors that has to be done as a field engineer? For many people, SLB field engineer is a most iconic and a dream role, because even on SLB they say that anybody who join in a field engineer role, they can go up till a chief executive officer role. They have even a program for that. So how
Yeah.
exactly an SLB field engineer gets exposed to the field, and what exactly the special things or new things that happens over there? Is there anything that you can share with us at the?
Yeah, of course, I will be happy to share that because it was like a really amazing part of my life. I loved so much the field, honestly, because for me it was so exciting. You're coming out, you do you're born and raised in France, and you did my study in London, and then you know I didn't do something like really crazy. Of course, you're more like in a European world. Going on the field was so amazing because you are under pressure. I love talent, right? So it's maybe why, but I have so much pressure, in like you need to succeed. And then you have a manager, and then he's waiting for you to succeed. And then you are showing him that you are able to succeed on the good way. and so he's proud of you. And then like that's how you build, your as a young engineer, you build your career, and you build everything. So honestly, I found this experience like I would say I would pay for it, like
Okay.
if I was not in this industry, but to go like 1 week on the rig, to do some operation drilling, to load some sources, like this type of things that it's once in a lifetime. I would say being there for like 30 days, but sometimes it was way more, like 1 month, 2 months, because you are stuck
Okay.
there and there is no what I love is that this level of pressure that you can be proud of yourself, because after, when you come back, you say, okay, I was a boy, when I started. Now I am a man. I dealt,
Okay.
with like some angry company man, with some geologies that you just
Okay.
wanted to, like, but you did it, and then at the end you deliver well, same as, like your parents, your grandparents, like
Yeah.
back in the days, So
Yeah.
I found this experience was really amazing, to go far into my limits, I will say. So if you
Mm.
have the opportunity, to start to build your technical skills on the field, go for that. Like, it's not only about drilling, it's not about only the technical skills like programming the tool or whatever. It's about the behavior, how to deal with the client, how to deal with stress, how to deal with pressure, you know, all this type, install yourself, in the middle of like Australian rig, and then
Yeah. Okay.
Saudi, and then like it's different type of challenge.
I understand the climate and everything is different and all.
Yeah.
To go more deeper on that, Antoine, so how exactly a typical day of a field engineer in a field, so how exactly it happens? There is a lot of things that we have seen. We stay inside the field itself and we start with the toolbox, and then we go on with every single aspect. There is a company man and all. So how exactly for an SLB is an oil field service company, and we know all there are four major oil field service company. So how exactly a day happens for a field engineer in a field, especially in Saudi Arabia, which is absolutely hot and in a no man's land.
Yeah, I did many jobs, I will say, many different way of doing my job just in drilling. So after that, if you add like wireline completion, it's like so different. But for
Yeah.
drilling, it was kind of, if I take my job, as a one man job, single man job, So I was on call, not only, with having a shift, but on call. And then, so I was the only one of SLB drilling, DD, doing my job. Then I was having at this time a really good relationship with the company man, which was different. You need to have this strong relationship, because I was waking up when I needed. So then I was having his phone, and he was calling me whenever he needed me
Okay.
in my room, and then like I was going. So it was not this 12-hour shift that you can imagine, but I think this 12-hour shift is kind of disappearing. For me, I was, like making up the BHS.
Okay.
The thing is like the job cycle, it's interesting to understand the job cycle. You arrive on the rig, then you check your tools, you check that everything is there, and you will be able to perform. And then after that, you program your tools
Okay.
as a drilling. And after that, you will make up the BHA. So you will assemble all the tools, and
Okay.
then you will start the drilling. And then
Okay.
that's where you monitor the drilling. So you come back after having, this really muddy
Mm.
house, like under the sun, with the guys. That's when you have
Yeah.
like the real connection with the rig crews. And then you come back to your unit, and you become back, like the nerdy engineer that is able
Okay. Okay.
to drill. So after that, you do the drilling, and then at this time we have the impact of the remote operation. So then at this
Okay.
time, when everything is smooth, you can let them deal with the things. But if there is an issue, you come back. And during this, sometimes, there is sometimes a little bit more chill times, we'll say. And
Okay.
especially in Saudi, I believe, you are in the middle of nowhere. The
Yeah.
landscape is so amazing, you are so different, from the people, having their life, and you can live kind of a monk, I would say. And
Mm.
I really enjoyed as well this time uh, alone, with not so many people, with no one, knowing my language. Like when I was in Japan, I was like 2 months without seeing any single European. I was the only
Okay.
Europeans,
Okay.
and then I believe in this kind of place, with like really empty in the
Okay.
desert. I believe you are closer to God. Like there is something spiritual. Like I
Okay.
had that, for me, this kind of spiritual experience where you think about your life. You think, so it's not about, like a job. It's a way of living, I believe.
So I again want to reiterate that which you said, Antoine. You become from a student to a man. You become from a
Exactly.
normal person, then you become a man. So being alone and the self self-talking and then making it better and all. So now, in putting up in a paraphrase, Antoine, so that means a field engineer is not something a shift job. He has to be available anytime when a company man calls for it. So company man is basically all the national oil companies or anybody, the E&P companies, so Saudi Aramco or all those things. Now, in this scenario, then again, you have your tools that has been already brought from the base to your field site, and then when you start the day, you ensure that everything has been assembled. And do you have field specialists and crews along with you, Antoine,
At
to
this time,
execute
no, I
all the
didn't. At this time with a single man job, no, you are alone. That's a new.
Okay.
So that's why you are at the same time the muscles and the brain. You need
Okay.
to. And what I loved, with this type of working, before we were 4 people, so two
Okay.
on days, two on night,
Okay.
and just we are running the job. After that, we start removing people, and now there is one people, but with
Okay.
the support from the town.
Okay.
But what I love with this new technique is like it's everything on you.
Uh,
Like if there is an issue, no one can help you. If there is an issue, like the blame is on you, but if it's working, you can be so proud of you, right? So
okay.
I love this kind of, like I don't have the choice. I need to make it work. That was
Okay.
my most interesting thing.
Okay. So it's basically, say, pressure is sometimes important. Pressure will make you perform.
You
So
need
it's
to love pressure. In
yeah.
SLB or in the field, you need to love that. If not, you can have a really hard time, I will say. Honestly, it's not for everyone. Some people are better under pressure. Some people need like more time. On the rig, you will get some really hard time and you need to love that. If not, it can not break you, but it can like really make your life so difficult.
Okay, okay. So now, earlier there were a crew, there is a field specialist, and everybody involved from an oil field service company, and they do the job. But now, if things have gone more simpler, that there is a single man job comes into the picture. So one
Yes.
person handles everything, and even that is managed digitally as well, right?
Yes.
Even on the remote drilling operations. So, how is this pattern, Antoine? Like now you are in the field, you did on the drilling engineering part, okay, on MLWD, all those things. So now, what is the action that has happened that when digital drilling projects came into the picture? So I saw that you've moved from KSA and Japan, all the field operations. You've been elevated to UAE office for Schlumberger. So how exactly the digitalization on drilling aspect has changed your role?
Yeah, this move to answer your question was really interesting because I was doing the field and then I was
Okay.
able, to do the remote operation. So it was the other side of the screen. You know what I mean? And I've been chosen. I've been at this exposure because in Australia I was in charge of deploying the remote operation
Okay.
for our country, for our location. So at this time it was so interesting because I understood it was a project management at this time, and I understood that the difficulties, the challenges that we have, it's not on the technical tools or whatever. It's how you bring the people, how you
Okay.
take them, to make the
Okay.
things happening. Because of course you will have a lot of it will be difficult to bring the people. Some people will have fears. Some people they will
Right.
think that remote operation is a threat, for their job, for their things.
Okay.
And then you need to show them that this concept will help them.
Mhm.
Will help them to do their job better, to maybe move jobs, to go to remote operation center later. So this project, has been so interesting for me. And after that, seeing what was the challenge of the people in the office was mind blowing for me because on the field sometimes the people they want to put the blame of course on the remote operation people because they say, oh, they are in the office, their life is so easy, they just
Okay.
have to click buttons and everything. But it's not
Yeah.
the case. They have like 5 jobs, 4 jobs to monitor. They need to jump between one and one. They need to be available all the time, 100% for every job. And at the same time, the people in the office, they can put the blame on the field, saying they just have one job. What are they doing? Just waiting in their
Okay.
office. But at the same time, the field people, they are always outside preparing the tools under the sun. When you go, like 10 minutes outside, it's like 1 hour to recover, like when you're in Saudi. So it's interesting. Like life is not black and white. It's kind of a life lesson, I got. It's not black and white. You need to help the people to work together, to understand that you need each other. And this was so
Yeah.
interesting for me.
Cool, cool. So it's basically a two side of the coin. Once you've got onto more field operations, then you got on the digital side, which is involving a project management. And as you said, when it comes to project management, it is not about the technical, it is about bringing people together.
Exactly.
And the most important is making them work on one particular goal, which is the most difficult job. So
Yes,
I think
definitely.
Even for me, during my entrepreneurship journey, the most difficult thing that I experienced, Antoine, is just getting my team up and making them work
Mhm.
towards that one goal.
Yeah.
And rest everything, for me, getting and achieving the goal wasn't a problem, but getting my team achieving that goal was a big challenge. And then I understood it's all about the key team building skills. So now, yeah,
The
Antoine.
management skills. That's where the big mention in the management skills are so important, and it's not that easy. It's not like you're the best engineer, then you can become a manager. No, you need first. I think you need some personal like competencies. Then you need
Yeah.
to learn mostly from your experience, from your past manager. They need to teach you. They need to show you how it works. But it's not like that. It could be done in like a minute.
I understand. But the field experiences always makes a lot more sense and that make you a strong person internally because
Yes.
you face everything all alone and you live a life all alone and you could able to win it up. So I think that adds a lot of value. Antoine, there is one another thing that comes up from everybody, who wants to be a part of Schlumberger or who wants to be a part of oil field service companies and all. So how exactly the rotations happens? So now you've been on the field, so ultimately you would have had the rotation. But what is the scenario for the people who work on real time drilling simulation, RTDS departments, and the people who are working on the digital side? So, do they also have rotations? And what exactly on the rotation side goes up for the service company?
So what is interesting is that this RTDS or Remote Operation Center, because it's the same but doing slightly different things, they are actually covering operations. So they are being on roster, like same thing, shift, 12
Okay,
hours, 12 hours. And
okay,
what we are, so of course you can do whatever you want. You can organize things differently, but what is happening now is like 12 hours, either
okay,
day or night for 20 days or 28 days. And then you do the rotation like that. Maybe it will change, but I think now it's still on the rotation based.
okay, okay. So 12 hours on and 12 hours off, same thing, like in a day, right? Or they get a
Yes.
3 days on, 3 days off.
No, no. Maybe it will be 1 week, something like that. This
Okay,
type of
something
things.
like this. Because I spoke with one of the colleague who's working on the RTDS department and with another company. So, and it only does RTDS solutions. And for them, it was something like, 3 days on and 3 days off. And for some of them, it is 1 week on and 1 week off on the RTDS itself, on the digital part.
Yeah, it will
So,
depend on the company. Things it will evolve because now we are doing still days and nights. But for example, you can say if you have centers all around the world, for example, SLB is a big company, with having, but you can say, okay, it's better to work only during days. So maybe the one in Mexico, they will work during their day. And then the one in India, they will work during their day and they will
yeah,
cover the things.
switch it,
So,
switch it.
and if you're only working on days, of course, it's better for your sleep and everything. So that could be a good option.
Cool, cool. And now, Antoine, there is one question that we need to go back to the start. So, did you got into SLB? How's
Ah, that's
your
a
career pathway there? How did you got into Schlumberger? And how was the process?
That's uh that's a difficult question because it's actually the key thing that change your life or your career at least at the beginning. So what I think what I did is I had an internship with SLB before to
Okay.
enter, and that was the key thing I think to get it. And even for me, it was really difficult to get
Mm.
inside SLB. I had to wait, I had to wait. I was like having many different options. I
Okay.
was trying everything, and I got lucky, I think, because it was at this time that it was going down, and after that it got up. So they needed people, so it matched. So, but I know that sometimes it could be super frustrating, because you don't know what's going on. You don't know if there is needs, no
Uh,
needs. So first, like if I can give an advice, like thanks to my situation, is like first build your internship is key because if you have good internship, you will have good
yeah.
first job. So I had an internship in SLB and then I did some internship with Total. How
Okay.
to get an internship when you are like a student? So it's like a lot is coming out of how you can make yourself different from the other people. There
Mhm.
is millions, not millions, but thousands of, petroleum engineers, going out. Why this team is going to choose you and not the other one? I believe in order to differentiate yourself, being adaptable, like learn new things, be curious is one. Doing some networking is really
Yeah.
important as well, is like how you show that in 10 years you are able to work and to manage a
Mm,
team is like
mm,
how you are able to speak to people
yeah.
in the SPE, how you are able,
Yes.
with the EAG,
Exactly.
like all this student association is important.
Yeah.
You can take responsibilities, you can work with a team. How you are able, on LinkedIn, on doing events, you are able
Mhm.
to go to the stands and to say hi, to understand, to ask questions. And not only when you need a job or when you need an internship, because when you need a job, it's like so hard, like it's kind of impossible to get it. But if you started, 6 months before, 1 year before, when you don't need it, and you just, you are going genuinely to say, okay, yes, just then they will be interested by your profile. They will
Yeah,
remember you, and six
exactly.
months, 1 year later, they will take you. So don't take like last minutes, just when you need it. Start building a network in advance, like over 1 year, 2 years, 5 years.
So exactly. So when we build the networking for the knowledge sharing, it gives a lot of progress while the opportunity comes in the place.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's how it is. So you did your internship with SLB France, Antoine, right? So how was
Mhm.
that? Was it a field internship? Was it an office and based internship?
No, that was an office-based internship.
Okay.
I believe it's quite hard to go for field-based internship nowadays,
Okay.
because there is a lot of
Yeah.
certification, authorization, and everything. But
Compliance.
seeing this office side was interesting for me as well, because I love, to discover all the different parts. So being in the office at this time was a really interesting experience.
Okay, okay. So through that, when there was a demand coming up, you got to know and then you got into the interview process.
Yes.
Cool, cool. So it's basically not from your campus that you studied, not in your university campus. It is through the outside. You did the efforts and then you got the interview call and then you moved on.
To be clear with
Sorry?
you, SLB has some list of top companies that they are going in, and I believe so. It's easier for them because they just focus on the top company of the top on the top universities, but at the same
Yes.
time, sometimes they can miss some talents. I believe, but yeah, that's the thing. The challenge. It's like if you're not from the top universities, it might be that SLB will not even look at the CV. That's
Yeah,
that's a big risk, and we need to tell it because to tell that because you can like wait for years or like try for years without
sure.
any success because just of these rules that they put. So in this type of situation, if you see it takes too long or it doesn't conclude, that's why opportunities in other company like like a mid cap size company or smallest company or even as a contractor sometimes can be a super entry door. And
Yeah.
I've met some people in SLB, like super smart people. Then saw that they were not able to enter by the big door. So they just, like started their career in some other company, get some
Nice.
experience. And after that, so there is no like, bad companies or, like second level companies, everywhere where you can start your career, go to the field, having this type of experience is like super, super amazing. And then if you are smart, if you are like adaptable, then you will be able to go to climb the ladder. And then the people from SLB, they will like the HR and the talents, recruiter, they will say, oh, this guy looks so amazing. Or this girl looks so amazing. I want to get her in my team. So
Exactly.
always, it's not because you didn't get to the top university and you didn't get your chance at first that you
Yeah.
cannot go later.
So we should be going to the other way around. I had the similar experience during my academia to industrial to transition, Antoine. So I'm also coming up with the same, 2019, 2020 passed out. So for me, what happened is, I've been speaking with the Schlumberger people if there is any opportunities. They have been a very strict compliance that, they only take from a selected universities for the field engineer role. And that
Yes.
is a role that they put a lot of time and money on the training courses in their training centers for 1 month, 2 month, and the assessment and all. So it's a fantastic program, the overall field engineer program. So I was so specific that I wanted to be in that, but unfortunately, my university was not in the SLB list, and then they said it won't be in that direction. So you should be thinking of other way around. And
Yes.
similarly, there was a one more person I met him. He was the leading role in one of the oil field service company, and that gentleman started his career in a second tier company and
Mm-hmm.
all he learned is in that second tier company. And
Oh,
because in second tier company he had the full access and he had full access to the people, to the operations, and it is not only the scope that what he was hired, he was given access to everything.
yeah.
So he just make use of that opportunity and he learned as many things as he could, and then he became a hot cake for all oil field service companies. So everybody came him and they just took him on different packages. In last 5 years I saw that particular gentleman in three different companies,
Oh, yeah.
and every three companies that he jumped in is with a minimum 50% of salary hike. And
Okay.
then he just kept
Interesting.
moving and he's just become a kind of a key star in the industry here in the Middle East.
Yeah,
So It's something, I just want to connect your words when starting with the second tier companies. So now this is all we covered about the Schlumberger onboarding and the career on the field roles and all those things, Antoine. So now, what is the current scenario in Europe for petroleum engineering? And we all have been aware that Europe is more towards the transition. So it's
Mhm.
more towards the energy transition, more towards for the green energy. So how exactly the life of a petroleum engineer in Europe and how exactly the opportunities for higher studies in this particular industry in Europe? Because there are a lot of people still they think about for going for masters in Europe or in the US. So how exactly that stuff is going through in Europe right now?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. That's like I'm thinking. We are discussing with the experts about that. Like quite often. There is a few different things to have in mind. First, okay, the idea is to reduce the use of oil, right? And it's happening in Europe, which is an amazing thing. But in some other part of the world, people are still looking for like a cheaper energy. And we have seen that, with the Strait of Hormuz. Now, with the economic situation, people are really looking for cheaper alternatives. So sometimes, some countries are really betting their future on oil and gas. I'm thinking about
Uh-huh.
Africa, Southeast Asia, like there is like big. So, and we, like, the academia is not providing enough petroleum engineers or like energy related jobs to deal with that. So because
Uh,
of this oil bashing, I think we'll have a lack of petroleum engineers or like oil and gas engineers related in the coming years. Our industry, is like getting older and older. It will have some opportunities, and some people will be able to have some job in oil and gas for like 20, 30 years. So I would say if that's what you are interested in, don't worry, you will find a way to work in oil and gas. That's the first point. The second point is more about a petroleum engineer is learning skills, is learning a lot of things that he can use just later in renewables energy, because you
mm,
are learning process, you are learning how to do the work, again, working under pressure. But if we're talking about like specific technical skills, like modelizing a reservoir, building some things offshore, everything is that something you can do for geothermal, you can do for water management, you can do for offshore, a wind turbine, and everything. So all these type of skills, you will be able to use them. So if you want to jump in the new energies career after 5, 10 years of experience in oil and gas, you will have a really strong background and you will have a strong technical base. And with that, you will be able to compete and to have really interesting jobs as well.
exactly. So those are the new way of energy transition that is going to give
Yes.
opportunities for petroleum engineers as well. So it's
And when you
someone
look at it,
you
in the big companies, for example, Total Energies now, you start as a petroleum engineer, and then by staying inside the company, then you move to building some
renewables and all and all.
renewables or solar plants in some
And
countries. So
since you came up on Total, Antoine, I wanted to ask you about Total Energies. I've in my petroleum engineering and entrepreneurship career, I've been traveled across Middle East, Europe, Africa, and Southeast Asia, and I haven't seen a company that is so deeply penetrated in the whole supply chain of energy industry. Say it be oil and gas exploration, say it be oil and gas processing, say it be the final end from that fuel pump station and also to the power grid. Everywhere we could see Total Energies, and this has been common with the national energy companies. If you go to UAE, you have ADNOC that does a full stream operation.
yes.
That is fantastic. And again, you go to Saudi, you have Saudi Aramco and the sister ventures. But Total is a one company, an international company, and from France, from Europe, and it is there in whole Africa, it is there in Middle East, it is there in other parts of the world. How exactly Total could able to do it? And how big is Total in simple?
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I think Total should be like a big pride in France and in Europe, because it's an actor that is really taking the industry in the right direction. First, because it shows that he's able to be like, as you said, on all the jobs, like all the sectors, and to be competitive in all these sectors, and is able as well, to take new technologies in all these different places, and to bring I think a better oil and gas industry, a cleaner oil and gas industry. So I think like a lot of people should like get some lessons, like from the teaching of Total, by seeing how they deal with their project, how they succeed as well in some different things. Yeah, there is many different reasons for their success, of
Mhm.
course.
Antoine, hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Antoine, loud and clear. Cool. So I got your point. So you're more referring that Total has been more example on bringing the new technologies as well on all the operations.
Yes.
Cool. Fantastic. Fantastic. So now one last segment, Antoine. So I know that you've been part of SLB, you've been part of Total, and right now you are into a management role. So what do you think about management opportunities and how important it is? And we see a lot of people take engineering courses and then they move on with the MBA. And even Europe has the premium elite MBA institutions, and US, India, Middle East, all of them, they have elite MBA institutions. But how do you see that the transition from a technical role to a management role, and how important it is, and how is the impact that an individual is getting it? So what do you think about it, and what's your call on it?
Yes. Um, It's interesting that you're mentioning about MBA. I believe for me, I think MBA is more interesting for executive roles more than management. The first step from technical to management, you
Mhm.
might not need MBA to do that. It's more like the skills you learned on the field, like the skills you learn in your teams that's going to use you, like are going to help you. We'll see in the future, now, with this development of, like information available for everyone,
Yep.
might be the MBA, like the teaching of the MBA might be
Right.
available online. Like you can learn by yourself, I will say. You will
Exactly.
you will you will not get the network, because I think a big part of the MBA is the network you are getting, but you can get the skills, like the learnings. And so that's just a personal thought about that. For management, like the shift, from technical to management is not easy. I think
Mm.
it shouldn't be forced. It shouldn't be forced because of you want this job, or you want this raise, or you want this type of things. It has to come from inside you, from
Yeah.
your gut, because you cannot really, learn in a night, overnight, how to deal with people. And as you said, the most difficult thing is the management. And
Right.
if you have this super good engineers who thinks that, okay, I can lead a team, but it can be a complete nightmare, and a complete failure, because working by yourself, and especially, the people who are working fast, the people who are working, who are smart, are usually not the best managers.
Mm.
Because manager, you don't need to be the smartest or the best. We need the one being able, to make the people to work together. For example,
Exactly.
like, in football, the best managers are not the best players, like they are the one able to connect everyone, the big ones, the small ones, like
Yes.
especially in the teams where there is a lot of, stars or different
Yeah.
backgrounds.
Even if there
This
is
is a
success,
this,
they get the credit a lot, and even if there is a failure, they are the first one to kick out.
yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So that's something that happens when a management person gets all the limelight, the picture, the highlight. But if anything
Exactly, yeah.
goes wrong, they're the first person to get kicked out as well. So now, last few things, Antoine. So what would you recommend to anybody going to an operator, to a drilling contractor, or a contractor, let's put it this way, or a service company? Which one would you take it? Going to a service
I
company, or a contractor, or a company man, or a operator?
so I have a really good idea about that. Answer, and it's not an answer that you can expect or that the people might expect. Is
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
go to the service company. If you have
Service
the
company.
choice between an operator, if you have the choice, between the golden way as an
Okay.
operator with the amazing jobs, everything, and the service company, go to the service company. Because the service company, you are going, excuse me the word, but you are going to do all the shitty work. You are going to have your hands in the
Yeah.
mud, and that's the best way to learn. Because
Yeah.
after 5 years, you will know way better than the people being
Exactly.
5 years, as a company man or this type of, because company man, you are already in a management role. So of course you are overseeing a lot of different operations. Like I'm thinking on a rig, drilling, casing, wireline, completion, artificial lift, everything, because, but at the same time, you are just, managing, saying
Mm.
yes, no, blah. If you start being, in the drilling, the ends, and you get shit from your company man because he's putting a lot of pressure on you, you will learn
Yeah.
way more skills than him. And after that, after having this experience, then you can move to the client, to the operator, when you want, like, to have a more relaxed life. And then
Mm.
at this time, you are able, to have more vision, more step back, more experience than someone just being a company man. So that's my opinion. So that's what I
Sure.
did, when I choose between Total or SLB, I say SLB is more for me because I will be more challenged, and that's what
Exactly.
that's what I like.
Fantastic, fantastic. Fine, Antoine. I think this is the key things that everybody comes into the situation either after their college or either in the first 3 4 years of their career. So that's an important decision that they have to take it. So I mean, the overall bottom line is whatever it is, get your hands dirty as early as possible. Learn as early as
Exactly.
possible. That's all. And if you are putting that away, then you're going to be stay away from the race. So as long as that we are on ground, we are learning fast, then we're going to grow, keep growing. So fine, Antoine. I think those are quick things that we wanted to have a quick check. And I'm sure the consumers of this video, the viewers, they would ultimately get the key insights from your experience. And from there, we shall also take it forward. And I'm sure even if they have any questions, and they would be putting on the comments, and we could able to take it forward from there. And if anything is required, we shall even have another session with the viewers as well. Okay. So thank you
Okay.
so much for giving up your time, Antoine. I really appreciate it. And I'm all the very best for your management role that you have taken up right now. And looking forward to cooperate on other aspects as well. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks a lot. That will be first. Thanks a lot again to host this type of podcast because I believe that that's super useful for the people who are watching, and so congratulations for that. Yeah, and of course, as you say, we stay available for me. I'm really interested into like seeing how the people develop themselves and the smart people ask smart questions. So yeah, just like we can see on the comments and we can have an interesting discussion. And yeah, of course, of the future we'll collaborate maybe on some things.
100%, Antoine. Once again, thanks a lot for making up your time and looking forward to it. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Bye bye.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers.
Bye bye.